Isn't the statute supposed to deal with an expedited process? Isn't this statute designed to speed up the process to get a decision made? Doesn't this happen in federal court all the time, where a federal district court will do a ordering the the federal government to do something right away?
Right. When the statute, when 204B.4 was enacted, it was non-controversial. It was bipartisan. And basically, the deal back then was, well, if we're going to have the greatest election law system in the world, we got to allow citizens to come into the courts and point out errors and omissions. And so they'd point out, but now, that's not the way the Secretary of State Simon views it. That's not the way the Hennepin County Attorney views it. That's not the way the Attorney General Lori Swanson views it, or Ramsey County. They all view it as a problem. Why is it a problem for them? Because they don't want to be accountable. If you're behind the devil being in our election law system, the last thing you want is the court to be reviewing that. You don't want the court reviewing your work. You don't want that accountability. So now, all of a sudden, right now, today, it's really difficult to file a 204B.44 petition. Well, it's really hard. But these happen every election cycle. Many of these are filed and none of these objections are raised. But here, it's our case. We have them dead to rights. We got them. And all of a sudden, it's so difficult for the court to assert jurisdiction. It's not true. It's really simple. The court has jurisdiction because the state legislature in a bipartisan way said, we want the court to have jurisdiction when election officials make mistakes. And here, not only they made a mistake, but because of their performance mistake in court, we know it was an intentional mistake. It's an intentional error. It's wrong. It's tortious. It's all those things. And because they let it continue and fester, we can't forgive them. I mean, if someone makes a mistake, a Secretary of State makes a mistake, well, that's okay. Everyone makes mistakes. But when you persist in the mistake, then you own it. And Secretary of State Simon owns this. Attorney General Lori Swanson now owns this. The Ramsey County and Hennepin County attorneys own it. It's their system. It's flawed. It's the devil. No one would support the devil, but I just saw it happen. I saw it happen in the court of law. They support this. They even argued that, no, it's someone else's fault. It's a court's fault. Can you imagine in a court of law, the Secretary of State, these counties took the position that the courts are inaccurately presenting the information about ineligible felons to the Secretary of State? It's not true. And when I said it's not true, they didn't disagree, but they still say it. How can they continue to misrepresent the facts, misrepresent the law, misrepresent who we are? We are not this people. We follow the law, we adhere to the law, and when someone is ineligible to vote, they're ineligible. And this idea that Minnesotans aren't strong and good and decent people, they are. No Minnesotan that I've met thousands of Minnesotans, would not vote when they're eligible because someone who's ineligible has been stopped. They say, well, if you stop ineligible people from voting, that'll discourage eligible people. That's hogwash. It's not true. More work of the devil. So we have to work out of this rigging of the system, and we have this lawsuit, but we're going to have more people get active on this issue. We have to have them engaged and start writing to the newspapers, start showing up at the Secretary of State's office, the county attorney's office, the election officials' offices, and explain this has to stop. You cannot let ineligible voters vote. And when you go to the polling place, you tell the judge, don't let those ineligible people vote. If we get the court order here, that's great. But if we don't, then the election judges have to do their part. And what the election judges can do is understand that behind every one of those indications that it says felony challenged, that means felony ineligible, and they need to report when people vote in that way because that's ineligible. That's a violation of the system.